Let's go over the answers to this example. We've got a graph here with a nice vertical asymptote at x equals -3, bunch of holes here and there, and we want to figure out what are some values and then what are some limits. So the first one, the limit as x approaches 3 of the function. What a limit says is what happens as we get really close to -3, coming from the left and coming from the right. So if I come from the left and I go up and up as I get closer and closer to 3, I can see I've got this unbounded idea, a positive infinity from the left. However, if I come from the right-hand side, I can see I'm going down forever. So this would be a negative infinity coming from the right. We talked that infinity is a concept, not a number, and so it's not converging, it's not approaching a single value. So the limit as x approaches 3 does not exist. That's a DNE, does not exist. F of -3. Is there an answer at f of -3? And the answer is no. We've got a vertical asymptote, so we are undefined. The third one, the limit as x approaches -1. Well, -1 is right here and it's filled in. And as I get closer and closer to -1 from the right, I'm getting closer and closer to a y value of 0. If I approach -1 from the left, I'm getting closer and closer to a y value of 0. So the limit as x approaches -1 is going to be 0. F of -1 is also 0 because the point is filled in. Let's go to number 5. The limit as x approaches -1 or +1. I can see right here that I've got a hole here. But as I approach from the left, I get closer and closer to 2. As I approach 1 from the right, my y values get closer and closer to 2. So even though there's a hole there, we're concerned about what are we getting closer and closer to. And we can see it's going to be 2. Whereas f of 1, we said it's a hole, so it's undefined. So the situation there is you have a limit at that value, even though it's undefined. Finally, the last one, the limit as x approaches 4. As I come from the left, as I approach 4, I'm getting closer and closer to 3. However, as I approach from the right, I'm getting closer and closer to 1. So the limit is talking about what is happening as we get really close to 4, not what's happening at 4. And for this one, the limit does not exist. The reason for that is we're getting closer to 3 from the left, but closer to 1 from the right. And you're specifically looking at y values. But then f of 4 is defined, and it's going to be 3 because you've got a filled-in circle here at f of 4. But once again, the limit is what are we getting closer and closer to, not necessarily what is happening at that point. Sometimes the limit does equal what's happening at that point, but that's only if it's filled in. It is not always guaranteed to be filled in.